So it was kind of like we were trapped, or he was trapped. I was used to it.
I see him occasionally, and we get all giggly with each other.
Two legends of 1980s television who ruled living rooms across America. One was the genius with the mullet who could build a bomb diffuser from a paperclip.
MacGyver, the girder. Can you move it?
Well, that takes some doing. It's wedged in here pretty good.
The other was the smooth private investigator with the mustache and the Ferrari.
You can see I survived.
So did Dan, until last week.
MacGyver versus Magnum. For decades, fans argued over who was cooler, who was smarter, who defined what it meant to be a hero on television. But while Tom Selleck kept working, kept starring, kept building his legacy, Richard Dean Anderson vanished into silence. Now, at 75, Anderson has finally addressed the elephant in the room.
It put him off guns, like his best friend was accidentally shot with a...
His old pal, Tom Selleck. And what he revealed isn't what anyone expected. The 80s rivalry that never was? In 1985, when MacGyver first hit television screens, it landed right in the middle of Magnum P.I.'s reign. CBS put Anderson's resourceful secret agent directly against ABC's established hit. Schoolyards erupted into debates. Mullet versus mustache, Swiss Army knife versus Ferrari, brains and duct tape versus charm and Hawaiian shirts. Tom Selleck played Thomas Magnum, a smooth-talking private investigator living the luxury life in Hawaii.
Are you or are you not Robin Masters?
Solving cases between sips of beer and rides in fancy cars. Richard Dean Anderson played Angus MacGyver, a leather jacket-wearing agent who refused to carry guns and solved every problem with science and whatever junk he found lying around. The media loved pitting them against each other. Two different versions of American masculinity, competing for ratings, competing for cultural dominance.
Now, the inner dialogue, which was a voiceover, said, you know, if you've got two chemicals...
But here's the truth nobody talked about back then. They were never rivals. Insiders called them old pals. They even played celebrity baseball together at Dodger Stadium, laughing on the same field while cameras clicked away. The competition was manufactured. The respect was real. Selleck's path, the man who never stopped. Tom Selleck's Magnum P.I. ran for 8 successful seasons from 1980 to 1988. When it ended, he didn't disappear. He jumped straight into major Hollywood films. 3 Men and a Baby became one of the biggest comedies of the decade.
No, these tape things go in the front and the back.
How am I supposed to know?
There. Whoa!
Then in the 1990s, he shocked everyone by showing up on Friends as Dr. Richard Burke.
How you doing? You okay?
I'm sorry.
No, it's...
Monica's much older boyfriend. The role earned him an Emmy nomination and introduced him to a whole new generation. But Selleck wasn't done. In 2010, at 65 years old, he landed another iconic television role as Police Commissioner Frank Reagan on Blue Bloods. The show ran for 14 seasons, finally ending in 2024. At 80 years old, Selleck published his memoir, You Never Know, sharing stories from 5 decades in Hollywood. He's been married to Jilly Mack since 1987, living on an avocado ranch, balancing family life with a career that never truly stopped. Tom Selleck proved you could escape being defined by one role.
They formalized it into a character for television. It all made sense to me. And since then...
He diversified, he evolved, he kept working. The man with the mustache became so much more. Anderson's choice, walking away. Richard Dean, Anderson's MacGyver, ran for 7 brutal seasons from 1985 to 1992. And brutal is the right word. Anderson insisted on doing almost every single stunt himself. He believed audiences could smell a double, could tell when it wasn't really him jumping off buildings or sliding under closing doors. So he did it all. He tore ligaments leaping between rooftops. He cracked ribs when a harness snapped mid-scene. He compressed a disc in his lower back so badly that doctors hospitalized him between shoots, begging him to rest for 6 weeks. He was back on set in 4 days, hiding the pain behind that trademark grin. By season 5, Anderson appeared in almost every single frame of every episode, sometimes 42 minutes of a 44-minute show. He barely slept, lived on coffee and adrenaline, and started wearing a back brace under the leather jacket just to stay upright. When the network begged for an 8th season, Anderson sat them down and said 2 words: "I'm done." He later explained it was never about money. It was about life. About having mornings that didn't start with memorizing how to escape from a locked freezer using dental floss. The statement that changed everything. Years after Anderson retired from acting in 2013, an insider revealed something fascinating to Closer Weekly. He still gets offered guest spots on different shows, the source explained. And if he wanted, he could probably land a series again like his old pal Tom Selleck did. But Rick just doesn't seem to be interested. He still reads scripts here and there, but nothing has piqued his interest enough to get him to sign on. That phrase. His old pal Tom Selleck. It was the first time anyone close to Anderson had publicly connected the 2 men in decades. And it revealed everything. Anderson wasn't bitter about Selleck's continued success. He wasn't jealous that Tom kept working while he stepped away. He was making a deliberate choice. Tom Selleck represented the road not taken. The alternative universe where Anderson kept acting, kept pushing his body, kept chasing roles into his 70s and 80s. Anderson looked at that path and said no thank you. Not because it was wrong, just because it wasn't his path. The comparison showed mutual respect. These weren't rivals. They were men who understood each other perfectly, even as they chose completely different lives.
Damn.
It was a nice thought, though.
Physical toll of heroism. The price Anderson paid for being MacGyver never really went away. All those years of doing his own stunts left permanent damage. Chronic pain settled into his feet, his knees, his back, pain that wakes him up some nights even now, decades after the cameras stopped rolling. During MacGyver's run, he'd been hit by real explosions gone slightly wrong. A piece of metal once lodged into his thigh mid-scene. The crew slapped makeup over it and kept filming. Anderson threw up from pain in his trailer between takes, then walked back out smiling like nothing happened. The man who could fix anything on screen was slowly breaking in real life. By the time he retired for good in 2013, his body was screaming at him to stop. Heart issues required stents. His feet, knees, and back simply couldn't handle long shooting schedules anymore. Tom Selleck faced physical demands too. 8 seasons of running around Hawaii wasn't easy, but Selleck played a detective, not a stuntman. He drove cars and threw punches, sure, but he wasn't dangling from helicopters or building explosive devices with live chemicals. The difference in their physical toll was night and day. The reboot betrayals. In 2016, CBS decided to reboot MacGyver with a young actor named Lucas Till. Anderson watched the trailer exactly once. According to people in the room, his reaction was a single quiet sentence: "That's not MacGyver." The reboot replaced Anderson's lone wolf who hated guns with a 20-something surrounded by a full team, high-tech toys, and yes, plenty of gunfire. Producers flew to Anderson's house with the red carpet treatment. Private jet, big check, executive producer title, a cameo as older MacGyver. They promised he could steer the ship back toward the nonviolent roots that made the original special.
Would you mind taking off your Kevlar and handing it to me?
You want us to take off the one thing that's going to save our lives?
Look, I know everyone's scared, but...
Anderson listened politely, then turned them down flat. No anger, no public trash talk. Just a firm no. His MacGyver had been a promise to a generation that you could be tough without pulling a trigger. Watching that promise get rewritten felt personal. 2 years later, in 2018, CBS rebooted Magnum P.I. with Jay Hernandez.
Hey.
Hey.
You all right?
Yeah.
Tom Selleck had no involvement either. Both reboots ran for 5 seasons. Both failed to capture what made the original special. Anderson and Selleck understood something the networks didn't. Those characters weren't just roles. They were them. 2 roads to contentment. Both men started the same way. Struggling actors taking tiny roles, hoping for a break that might never come. Both got their iconic roles in their mid-30s, when most actors are still fighting for recognition. Both suddenly became household names, sex symbols, action heroes that defined a decade. And both dealt with the curse of being known for one character above everything else. But their solutions were completely opposite. Tom Selleck fought against being only Magnum. He took comedy roles, dramatic roles, westerns, guest spots, anything to prove his range. He kept his private life intensely private. His 1987 wedding to Jilly Mack was so secret they only allowed Polaroid photos to avoid leaks to the press. He built a ranch, raised a family, and somehow balanced it all with a career that never stopped moving. Richard Dean Anderson embraced being MacGyver, then walked away when he was done. He got 10 more years on Stargate, but on his terms. Less punishing schedule, more control, more time for life outside the set. When his daughter Wiley turned 15, Anderson posted on his website, "My plans are really that I must be around for Wiley at any given moment." Then he disappeared into his Malibu beach house and never looked back. What old pals really means. When insiders call Anderson and Selleck old pals, it's not just casual Hollywood speak. It carries weight. These weren't close friends who called each other weekly or vacationed together. But they shared something nobody else could understand: the unique pressure of carrying an entire network television show on your shoulders for years, of being an action hero and a sex symbol whether you wanted it or not, of having your face and your character become so intertwined that strangers thought they knew you. Tom Selleck's mustache became as famous as his face. Richard Dean Anderson's mullet got more attention than his acting. Both dealt with being reduced to their most visible features, their fashion choices, their catchphrases. They played celebrity charity baseball together in the early 90s, comfortable in each other's presence because they understood the weight. When Anderson invokes Selleck's name specifically through that insider quote, it means something. It's not comparison, it's recognition. Selleck represents what Anderson could have been, and Anderson is fine with his choice. That's what old pals really means. Mutual respect without needing to prove it publicly. Legacy and silence. At 75, Richard Dean Anderson's silence speaks louder than any interview ever could. While Tom Selleck published a memoir sharing stories and life lessons from 50 years in Hollywood, Anderson stays quiet. While Selleck does press tours and red carpets, Anderson shows up at the occasional fan convention and disappears again. His life is his statement. His choice is his answer. Look at what Tom Selleck built. An incredible career spanning multiple iconic roles, a devoted family, a ranch in California, respect from every corner of Hollywood. It's a beautiful life, genuinely inspiring. Now look at what Anderson built. A beach house in Malibu. A daughter who grew up with her father present instead of absent on location. Mornings without memorizing lines. Peace without the Hollywood grind. It's also a beautiful life, just completely different. Neither man has regrets. Selleck loves what he does and built a life around continuing to do it. Anderson loved what he did, then loved his daughter more. The supposed rivalry from the 1980s was always media fiction. The real story is simpler and more human. Two men who walked parallel paths, understood each other, and chose different destinations. Two wizards, different spells. When that insider revealed Anderson could land a series again like his old pal Tom Selleck did, it wasn't suggesting Anderson should follow Tom's path. It was acknowledging that the path exists, that the option is there, and that Anderson is consciously choosing not to take it. That's the real revelation. At 75, Anderson isn't staying quiet because he's bitter or broken or forgotten. He's staying quiet because he's content. He looked at what Selleck built and said, "That's wonderful for him. I built something else." Both men won. Selleck proved you can have longevity, relevance, and family all at once. Anderson proved you can walk away at your peak and find peace. MacGyver and Magnum P.I. will outlive both of them. Their characters became cultural touchstones bigger than themselves. If you loved discovering the real story behind these two 1980s legends, smash that like button and help us bring more untold Hollywood secrets to light. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications because every week we dig into the stories behind your favorite stars that nobody else is talking about. Drop a comment right now. Are you Team MacGyver or Team Magnum P.I? And more importantly, which path would you choose? Keep working like Selleck or walk away like Anderson?